Evening all, welcome back to Kicking. No, it's Tactics, isn't it? Tactics and Dust. Yeah, we're still going, proverbially flogging the dead horse. A lot of people have been saying, but Pyrex, why are you still doing videos for a dying dead game? And I kind of sit there and swill my brandy glass a little bit, looking down into it, and I look up and fix them with a stare and say, because I still play it. And that's the sole reason why. A lot of people have been asking why, what the hell you're still doing videos for this game for. I don't know. I mean, personally, I still get a kick out of playing it, and that has to be the main reason you play a game, isn't it? And if I look at the kind of, the suite, if you will, of the games that I play, this one still gives me immeasurable amusement. Not because of any, I don't know, any kind of game mechanic, not because of any particular feel, etc. from the game. It's just because I love the plasma cannon and the flintlock. I have an absolute squee of joy every time I kill somebody with a flintlock, and if I kill someone with a plasma cannon, it just feels good. So that's kind of why I'm still playing. The numbers are dwindling, I will admit, and I think, to be honest with you, people are even stopped. I don't have the same numbers of people watching the videos we do, which is a sad thing because I think people are obviously retreating from the game. I think people are, also finally upgrading to perhaps the PS4, which is a good thing. I think a lot of people are not necessarily going to follow this game's IP to Legion, which is a shame. I really do think that. I think there's not many people I can imagine who actually have a gaming PC and also play console games. I know that sounds wacky and wild, but I don't know. I as I talk to more people, I'm always surprised to hear that more and more people actually don't have gaming PCs and they've never played a game on the PC. So that's a shame. That's a real shame. And I think there's not a lot I can really say or do about that. I think we're going to keep doing Dust. And just to kind of reinforce my promise. Promise, what's that about? Just to reinforce my original statement. I'm always going to do videos of what I enjoy. I do the channel as a hobby. I've always said that, and I always will continue to say that because that is it. That is why I do it. Some games come in fashion, some don't. Some games I will play the hell out of and I'll never do a single video for it. Sub-reference here, Terraria. That game is like crack. And I won't do videos for it because I'll just never do it justice. And I think that's probably a good thing to maybe just say. That's it, I won't ever do it justice. So, it's a funny thing, really. I don't really want to, I think, go away from Dust just yet. I'm still enjoying it, and I think what's going to happen though is that fewer and fewer people are going to play, and less people will log on, and then you're going to have this kind of tipping point where I think it will just be unviable to even play because you won't be able to get into a match quick enough. Do you know what I mean? That, I think, is my biggest fear coming up. I do worry about that at one point we log on and there's only a couple of hundred people playing, of which many may not even be looking for a battle. That's what I would fear the most, to be honest. There's obviously good news from this. Ancient Exiles have left the game. You may remember Ancient Exiles. I actually don't. They're a kind of past memory to me. I remember insulting some bunch of Herf Blurf lords who, for some reason, took this game a little bit too seriously. And when I called, I think, 2 of them out for using Aurum proto gear, they went a bit nerd ragey, and their CEO went completely nuts at me. And yeah, so began an interesting kind of interesting attempts to become relevant from them, which I'm proud to report they've now failed. They appear to have left. And the reason I cite them actually is I was talking to Tesfer yesterday, who was telling me this actually. Tesfer was regaling me with a story of how pretty much they all disappeared almost the day after Legion was announced. So almost the day of the keynotes, they must have had this massive kind of hissy fit kind of sorority girl style argument that ended with them all leaving, which I am, of course, trolling, and I'm sure the ones that remain will just go absolutely nuts now. But the reality is that's actually quite sad. I'm being a troll. That's what I do. And I think actually that's quite sad actually, situation that people have left the game. It's also a shame that they left so soon because I think, again, a poor communique from CCP has probably resulted in hundreds of players just dropping because it may be a bit of a misconception. The reality is that Dust wasn't going anywhere for many months. And as of today, it still may not be going anywhere for many months. So I think to jump ship too soon is your choice. And I think that's it. So there we go. Here endeth the epic saga of... What were they again? Who was it? Do you know, I've already forgotten their name. That the trolling continues. To be honest, the irony is what the hell do these people go on to do? Because there's no real game like this out there yet. Destiny will probably be quite good, and I think people... But the thing is, again, I'm going to be quite honest with you here. Every major game that has been released in the last 2 years has not been up to scratch of what people wanted it to be. And let's just build a bit of a list here. So Battlefield 4, what a load of steaming, watery piss water that was. Titanfall. Now Titanfall was actually very good, but it was so small. It was basically a postage stamp size idea that that looked huge, and you're looking at this box thinking, wow, this game is like incredibly big and epic and crazy. And then you play it, and then 20 minutes later you're like, oh, is this all it is? And then you realize you've been tricked. So Titanfall was no good either. I think a lot of the games coming through, Elite, that's not really applicable here, I would say, but there's games like that, I guess. Star Citizen and Elite, I think, are going to be okay, but they're not kind of replacements for this. Replacements for this is going to be like PlanetSide, but then again, PlanetSide 2 is kind of going as well. There's a lot less people playing it. The servers are reducing. It doesn't feel the same game that it was when I was certainly playing it way back. And that's it. That's kind of all I can think of. Call of Duty? Come on, you're not 7. Battlefield 3? I think they've switched it all off. Halo? It's kind of all gone. The list is short, really, when you look at it. I mean, you could play, many different things, I guess, but the reality is that this kind of space-age sci-fi shooter-esque game is not actually that big a genre. And I think, Destiny is probably going to be okay, and I think people will like it. But again, the fear is that it just becomes like... I mean, when I've obviously seen what I've seen, I've only seen snippets, I've only seen videos. I saw Bam Havoc's live stream of it. And my immediate reaction was, as I team kill somebody, lol, my immediate reaction to it is, oh, this is Borderlands done by Halo. And I really hope it's not, because Borderlands is not the kind of epic... open world MMO that I want Legion to be. Do you know what I mean? There's a huge difference, massive huge difference. And I think my biggest fear would be is that Destiny just ends up being I don't know, like I say, Borderlands missions, that kind of thing, PvE, PvP, all mixed together in kind of a gang format. I mean, it's good. I mean, Borderlands is an excellent game, but it's not an MMO FPS, and it never will be. And I think that's kind of my issue with it. So, I am bloody worried. And let me explain why. Because when I watched Bam doing his live stream, firstly, my God, that guy can't shoot for shit. Bam, I love you. Seriously, I love you. But secondly, I'm joking, by the way. And secondly, I think what worried me is you look at the level design here, right? You've got a relatively open map. You've got buildings. You've got kind of sniper spots. You've got a lot going on here, right? But you could believe that this is an actual map. When you watch the map that Bam was playing, yes, it was capture the flag or capture the objective or whatever you call it. But it was like predefined tunnels. It was like Payday levels, loads of rooms that just don't make logical sense. Like, why on earth would you have a ramp down to a basement and then, a level above it? And then, it just didn't make sense. It was so obviously a game level made by a game designer. Whereas this has been, they've tried to create, and to their credit, they've said to them, right, let's have a shuttle that's about to take off, and this is where you go to like take off. And the guy said, all right, well, you'd do this, and maybe you'd have that, and then maybe you'd have like silos, etc. And to be honest, that they have created a realistic map. Dust's maps are not great, but I can say that they're kind of believable. As I say that, I'm going to get trolled, but to me, they're believable when compared to what I saw with Destiny. It was like watching a TF2 map. Logically, it made no sense. None of the design made any sense, and it was just, it was like, oh, I'm very obviously playing a game. Secondly, I think my issue with it is wow, those guns are terrible. Literally, the guns felt like they're firing rubber bullets. It felt like they're firing plastic, like they're BB guns. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, why can't game companies make games that feel solid and have a pop behind them, a bang? And that really kind of gutted me as well. I know I'm holding judgment. I'm judging already, but I'm holding judgment. Because Destiny, I really hope it is as good as the hype is. But, I think there's only a few games that have come out where they've hyped it and it's actually been very good. Grand Theft Auto 5, for me, was one of them. But the online bit, again, didn't keep me there. In fact, if anything, it pushed me further and further away every time I logged in, because it was like, wow, this is boring. It's a lifestyle simulator. And it was like, GTA 5 to me is what 12-year-old boys imagine life to be, their perfect life to be. So that's why it's so engaging to them. But I guess as you get older, you realize that you don't want to just sit and watch TV in a virtual world, because Christ, the clock's ticking and death's calling. So why on earth would you? Anyway, there we go. It's going to be a tricky one for a while to really figure out what game is worth jumping to. So keep the suggestions coming. But we'll keep playing Dust until the lights go out. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.